Beautiful. Rich widow viciously hurt by scum, using a young girl to avenge herself. Mrs. Hemmer is a wealthy widow. After her childhood and unhappy marriage, she no longer believes in love until she meets the Marquis. He is an unruly prodigal son. Looking at the young and beautiful Lady Helmer, he was tempted. He pursued her forcefully. The haughty Lady Helmer fell in love. She disregards the world's eyes. She falls in love with the Marquis. Her best friend tries to warn her to be sensible. Immersed in love, Helmer, she trusts this man with all her heart. But how can a prodigal son settle down? Mrs. Helmer gradually found that the Marquis was busy with his work. He had less and less time to see her. Was he tired of her? Madame Helmer wanted an answer. She pretended that she had no more feelings for the Marquis. She hopes to end the relationship. To her surprise, the Marquis was so relieved. He said, "I don't love you anymore. Why don't we be friends? We can still see each other later." Mrs. Helmer understood instantly. This man only wanted to have fun but not to be responsible. She was depressed for some time. She was completely disappointed in love. Her heart was filled with nothing but hatred. She must take revenge on this philandering man. Mrs. Helmer had heard from her best friend the story of Jungier. Jungier had been cheated on. Pregnancy before marriage brought shame to the family. Mother and daughter were forced to live in the sex industry. They had to sell their bodies to make ends meet. Madame Helmer's target is not Jonquière. It was her daughter, Anna. Anna is young and beautiful. Even when working in a bordello, she has a beauty that one can't bear to read. The Marquis would have fallen in love with her. Madame Helmer ransomed both mother and daughter. She arranged for a home for them. They were given everything they wanted, as long as they did as they were told. Madame Helmer pretended to be relieved. She asked the Margrave to walk in the woods with her, arranging for Anna's unannounced appearance. Everything was in her plan. The Margrave falls in love with Anna. He begs Madame Helmer to help him woo Anna. Madame Helmer readily agrees. She knew men too well. No matter how old they are, they're all in love with 18-year-olds. And she uses this to get back at the Marquis. How ruthless are the women who are hurt by scum. She'll make him lose half of his family fortune anytime, anywhere. Mrs. Helmer never expected. The Margrave was so obsessed with Anna. He could not find Anna's whereabouts. Every day he couldn't think about food and drink. He wouldn't even get close to women. Madame Helmer arranged a meeting. The Margrave was so excited that he could not speak. He took her as his most trusted person. After that, the Margrave launched an intense pursuit. He quietly sent someone to follow Anna. He drew her beautiful face in the church. He found her home address. Every day he crouched at the door and greeted her. But Anna never looked at him. Instead, she left in a hurry. The Marquis was frustrated. He had never been rejected by a woman like this before, and he had never been so obsessed with a woman before. But he didn't intend to give up. Instead, he got stronger and stronger. Under the arrangement of Mrs. Helmer, the Marquis took a diamond necklace of great value and 600 a month to live on. He hoped that Jonquière would marry his daughter to her. The money-grubbing Jungier wanted to say yes. The money was enough for them to live well. Mrs. Helmer, however, felt that it was not enough. She wrote a letter of refusal to the Marquis. She scolded, "How can you defile an innocent girl with money?" The Margrave had no choice but to increase the amount. He took 2 houses and a whole set of diamond jewelry. He proposed again. The 2 mothers and daughters coldly refused. After the Marquis left, Jungier directly broke down. She was afraid she would lose the money. Madame Helmer was in a position to win. She knew the Marquis would raise the price again. And sure enough, the Marquis simply took half of his fortune this time. He asked Madame Helmer to act as a lobbyist for him. Madame Helmer agrees. She arranged for Anna to marry the Margrave, to a rich and powerful Marquis. But Anna was not happy at all. She was in love with the Margrave, but she fears that after the marriage he will know the truth. She struggles with her inner pain. Her mother sees only wealth in front of her. Madame Helmer is only interested in revenge. No one thinks about her feelings. On the day of the wedding, Anna looked so sad. The Margrave thought she was nervous. He didn't force her to do anything. He was extremely gentle with his little wife. When Lady Helmer saw her chance, not only did she want the Margrave to give away half of his fortune, she wanted to make him feel cheated. The rich and powerful Margrave married a prostitute. He became the laughingstock of the city. Mrs. Helmer took the Margrave and Anna, mother and daughter, to the door of the brothel. She told the whole truth. The innocent girl and her mother, you see, live here. Anyone can spend the night with her for a price. Anna doesn't want to cheat on the people she loves either. She confessed her past. When the Margrave heard this, he was devastated. It turned out that all this was a trap set by Mrs. Helmer. He never thought that the person he loved so much was so lowly. He didn't expect that she had lied to him. He ran to the woods to calm down. He pushed away Anna, who came to apologize. He married a lowly woman. He was ridiculed by the celebrities of the city, and Anna jumped into the river in shame. She was rescued and thrown in front of the Marquis house. The Margrave was ashamed of himself. He took her back home and planned to arrange for her to live in the countryside. They would never see each other again. But Anna asked the Marquis to let her stay here, even as a servant girl. It was fine. The Marquis saw the sincerity in her eyes. He was willing to give up his worldly prejudices to stay with her forever. The next day he packed up his belongings. He planned to go to a strange city with Anna to start a new life. Before leaving, the Marquis saw Madame Helmer's best friend. He asked her to thank Madame Helmer. If it hadn't been for her revenge, he wouldn't have found true love. The girlfriend couldn't bear to tell Mrs. Helmer the truth, so she lied. The Margrave was in a bad way. But Mrs. Helmer already knew the truth. She knew that the man she loved and hated and Anna had gone away. She forced a smile, pretending she didn't care anymore. She couldn't let go, and yet she goes to great lengths to get revenge. And by mistake, the Margrave's love, Mrs. Helmer, was defeated. Shouldn't have fallen in love. Should not have fallen in love with the wrong person.